We're back with more Leagues Cup action for the quarterfinals as we're down to the final 8 in the Leagues Cup tournament. It looks like an MLS team may win this tournament as 6 of the final 8 teams all come from MLS. This has been a great tournament so far from a betting perspective and for excitement. There's been plenty of goals. Our picks have gone 2-1, 3-1, 3-1, 2-2, and then 2-1, 2-1 in the round of 16. If not for New England resting several key players like Carlos Gil and Gustavo Bo, perhaps they could have got the win and given us the 3-0. Still, we'll take 2-1 and move on. Before we get into the final 8 teams, it would be great if you could give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for more picks throughout the summer. Let's go. It's Miami and Charlotte. All these games are happening on Friday, the final 4. The Messi party rolls on and returns to Drive Pink Stadium on Friday. At first, it seemed like Miami was on their way to another rout in the round of 16, with Messi scoring very early in the 6th minute. However, Dallas was up 3-1 in the 63rd minute, and it looked like then it was coming to an end for Miami in the round of 16. Not so. The final half hour was wild. Benjamin Cramachi immediately replied with a goal in the 65th to make it 3-2. Robert Taylor was responsible for an own goal in the 68th minute to restore Dallas' 2-goal lead and then make it 4-2 Dallas. But Marco Farfan returned the favor, heading in a Messi free kick for Dallas. A Dallas own goal as well. That made it 4-3. And then there was more Messi magic with a free kick tying goal in the 85th minute to tie the game at 4-4 and send it to penalties. Messi scored again in PKs, and Miami went on to win 5-3 in PKs to mount the unlikely comeback. Messi had 2 goals, 1 assist, and created the shot that turned into the own goal, so he was all over the place once again. He's taken Leagues Cup by storm. He has 7 goals, 3 assists in just 4 games. He has 17 shots and 11 shots on target, so any sort of Messi prop looks like a good bet as long as he keeps playing the way he's playing. Miami's League Cup games, they've won 2-1 against Cruz Azul, 4-0 against Atlanta, 3-1 against Orlando, and then, like we said, the 4-4 draw with Dallas, leading to a PK win. Next up, they get Charlotte FC. They also have a PK win over Dallas this tournament, drawing 2-2 and winning 4-1 in PKs in their first game in the group stage. They then beat Necaxa 4-1. Cruz Azul, they drew 0-0 with before winning 4-3 in PKs, and that set up a round of 16 match with Houston in Texas. Corey Barrett scored early in the 10th minute for Houston, and it stayed that way until the final 10 minutes of the game. First, Patrick Gagnon equaled for Charlotte in the 88th minute before Houston suffered an own goal just 1 minute later, passing the ball into their own net to give Charlotte a 2-1 lead, which they would hold on to for the win. Charlotte has looked good in the Leagues Cup. They've won all 4 games, but they still have the worst defense in MLS, allowing 40 goals this season. On the road, they're 3-6, and have been outscored 23-15. Coming into the Leagues Cup, they were winless in 8 and had only 1 win in 11. Now, they'll be missing left back Nathan Byrne, suspended on yellow cards, and they have a center back from the Super Draft in Andrew Prevet. Now, none of that sounds like a good recipe to be on the road versus Miami and friends. Now, yes, Charlotte has 4 wins, but none of Dallas, Necaxa, Cruz Azul, or Houston necessarily have dynamic offenses. Miami, they also don't have a great defense, much like Charlotte. They're not great either. They've allowed 36 goals in MLS. That's only 4 less than the 40 that Charlotte has conceded, and we just saw them concede 4 to Dallas. So a bet on both teams to score here could be a good bet, but I think we just go for the Miami win. Now, unfortunately, the Miami win has already vaulted from -175, which I first saw it to -200. So I think maybe Miami win and over 1.5 goals for Miami. That's Miami to win and score at least 2. That's at -150. That could be a good bet in this game. Let's move on to Nashville and Minnesota. Both of these teams were involved in wild round of 16 games. Nashville, they faced Club America in the round of 16, and that was scoreless for an hour. Walker Zimmerman put Nashville ahead in the 61st minute before Club America equaled in the 78th, which looked like all the scoring we would see with time winding down. But that was until Club America took the lead in the 94th minute with a PK, which then really looked like the end of the scoring. Again, not so. Sam Surridge, Nashville's new striker from the EFL Championship, equaled in the 99th minute to go to PKs. And that was just the beginning of the madness. Luis Malagon, the keeper for Club America, looked to have made the winning save in PKs for Club America, and they began to celebrate. Their fans rushed the field, security guards got injured, and chaos ensued. And then VAR stepped in. Malagon had come off his line after a lengthy delay of about 7 minutes. PKs resumed, and Nashville prevailed, sending them to the quarterfinals versus Minnesota. For the Loons, they were in action versus Toluca, and they took a 2-0 lead a half an hour in. Bongo Halangwani had one of those goals. Now, he's now tied with Messi for the lead in the tournament with 7 goals. Toluca cut the lead to 2-1 in the 66th. Minnesota took a red card in the 73rd, and Toluca scored on the ensuing penalty to tie the game in the 75th minute. That sent this one into PKs as well, and while there were no VAR decisions or fans rushing onto the field in this one, the MLS team again prevailed 4-2 on PKs to advance. Now, Nashville, you usually would know them as a team for lower scoring games, but if you look at the stats recently, that's just not so. In Leagues Cup, they beat Colorado 2-1, lost to Toluca 4-3, drew Cincinnati 1-1 before losing in PKs in the group stage. Across all competitions, Nashville has kept only 1 clean sheet in their past 18 games. They had been struggling to score entering the Leagues Cup, being shut out in 4 of 6 games, but they now have 8 goals in their last 4 games in the tournament. Now, most of those shutouts we just mentioned in MLS were on the road. At home, they've actually scored in 11 of their past 12 games. Minnesota games have also seen goals this tournament. They have a 4-0 win, a 3-2 loss, a 3-3 draw, going on to win in PKs, and that was in the group stage. Minnesota has now scored 11 goals in 4 games. They have 22 goals in their past 9 games. Over 2.5 is 9-1 in their past 10 at all. This looks like a both teams to score bet for me, or maybe that's at -163, or you can go both teams to score and over 2.5 at even money. Let's keep going, and we'll go to Philadelphia and Queretaro. Now, Philly's Leagues Cup resume looks like this: a 3-1 win over Tijuana, a 5-1 win over this exact Queretaro team, a 0-0 draw with DC, moving on to win in PKs, and a 1-1 draw with New York Red Bulls, which resulted in a PK win. Now they get Queretaro again, and again they get them at home, and at home they're riding a streak of 9 straight wins, and they are 14 undefeated at Subaru Park. Across all competitions, the Union have just 1 loss in their past 37 home games, and they have only 4 home losses since the start of 2020. Queretaro, they're long shots to win the Leagues Cup, but they are one of 2 Liga MX teams left standing, which no one would have expected. They lost 5-1 to Philly, beat Tijuana 1-0, beat Pumas 1-0, drew New England last round 1-1 before winning in PKs. Now, Queretaro don't score a lot of goals lately. They've only scored multiple goals once in their past 7 games, but they have scored in 6 of their past 7 games and now in each of their past 6. But they only have 13 shots on target in 4 games this tournament. That's only 3.25 per game. Beating New England on the road is certainly impressive. New England has been one of the top teams in MLS this season, but they were resting some of their star players like Gil and Bo, which certainly aided in that win. We've seen this matchup already, and even a lesser effort from Philadelphia in this game should still be enough for the win, as Queretaro haven't shown that they can score more than 1 goal despite how good their defense has been in this tournament. Now, unfortunately, Philadelphia is heavily favored in this game, though, at -225 for the win in regulation. So perhaps you could bet Philly to win in a parlay. However, they could also be without a key player in Daniel Gazdag, who left last game with a knee injury. However, reports are it's not super serious, so he could be back, but it's tough to know right now. He, though, had a hat trick in that 5-1 win against Queretaro in the group stage. I still think Philly should be able to win this, especially being at home, but it's likely to be a lot closer than that 5-1, especially if Gazdag is limited or misses out. Now, the final game on Friday is LAFC and Monterrey, and both of these teams are definitely contenders to win the Leagues Cup. LAFC, we've only seen them play 2 games as they had a bye, but both games have been very impressive. A 7-1 win over Juarez in the round of 32, and a 4-0 win over one of MLS's hottest teams, RSL, in the round of 16. All 4 of those goals came in the second half. Dennis Bouanga scored 3, and Carlos Vela had 2 versus Juarez. Vela sat out injured versus RSL, but Bouanga was at it again, scoring 2 more to give him 5 in the tournament. Now, Monterrey had a similar result versus RSL in the group stages, winning 3-0 before beating Seattle 4-2, Portland 1-0, and then narrowly beating their fierce rivals Tigres 1-0 through a Sergio Canales 97th minute PK in the round of 16. It was Canales' first start for Monterrey. They are going to be missing one of their key players in German Bertrami, who has 5 goals in this tournament as he fractured his ankle earlier in the tournament. I've liked Monterrey a lot in this tournament, and I do think they are contenders to win it. But with LAFC, considering they have 11 goals in 2 games, they're playing at home or as close to home as possible, actually playing this game at the Rose Bowl. I'm giving the edge to LAFC if I had to make a straight bet in this game. For parlay pieces, you might be able to look at over 1.5 game goals, an LAFC goal just by itself, Bouanga to score at +105, or even both teams to score in this game at minus 163. So for the final picks though, I really just keep coming back to this two-leg parlay. So we're going to bet on 2 of the 4 games, and I'm going to go for a Miami win and Nashville and Minnesota, both teams to score. That comes in right now at plus 143 over at Bet365. If I had to make another bet between the other 2 games, I'd probably go for a Philly win and LAFC to score. That parlay looks at minus 143, but I think I just like Miami to win and Nashville, Minnesota, both teams to score. There are your betting breakdowns for the Leagues Cup quarterfinals. Who do you see going into the semifinals? Be sure to let me know in the comments down below. Give this video a like on your way out and subscribe to the channel for more Leagues Cup picks the rest of the tournament. Good luck, everyone.